Welcome children to SV Union School and Junior College presentation. Standard 10, Subject History, Chapter 3, Applied History.
(3.4) of Cultural and Natural Heritage. Continuing children. The operation necessary for the conservation and preservation and development of the heritage site can be handled without causing change in its original state. The local social structure and psychology of the local people, challenges faced by them in the present situation, and their expectations can be surveyed in detail. Due precautions can be taken to avoid hurting sentiments of local people while completing the projects of the conservation and preservation and development of a heritage site. Participation of local people in the projects can be facilitated. Systematic plan can be designed, employ the local skills in the creative way, and create a better opportunities of livelihood. What does these points say? When you want to conserve or preserve any heritage site, we are talking about the historical monument, dear children. So we have to keep in mind, first thing, that the originality should not be changed. Secondly, the people who stay nearby to that historical monuments, they are much attached to that. Their daily livelihood are dependent on that historical monument. So we can take into consideration these local people, we can take their creative ideas and seeing to that originality should not be spoiled, and at the same time their sentiments should not be hurted, their feelings attached with that monument should not be hurted. How can we preserve and conserve? So for that a systematic plan should be first made, and that's how the local people can be also be the part of that. We have to keep in mind that, and that's how we can preserve the heritage part of a country. Affiliated professional fields. Knowledge of history can be supportive in the decision making with regard to respect, legal provision and public policies in the following fields. First one is the museums and archives. Second one, preservation and conservation of historical sites. Third one, tourism and hospitality. Fourth one, entertainment and mass media. Every field mentioned here requires expert personnel with specialized skills. For example, architects, engineers, historians, archaeologists, museum curator, sociologists, archive management professionals, legal experts, skilled photographers, etc. Of course, this is just a representative list. So see children, all the related images have been given to you for your reference. So when we talk about the affiliated professional fields, there are many fields related to the history where one can make the career. Let's talk about the first one, the museum and the archives. Museum, where the old things have been preserved right from the time of the people's social living, what dress they were wearing, how they were growing the crops and all. From there till the archives means the legal document preservation, like what India we see today. How much India was it in the past according to the border size and all. So all these documents, legal documents, Kashmir comes under India or it falls in Pakistan. This all we come to know from the archives where the legal documents have been preserved. And to preserve and to maintain all this thing, a certain training has been given to the candidates where one becomes the expert, can only do the work in that particular department. Second comes preservation and conservation of historical sites. Now it doesn't mean exactly the historical monuments, children, here. When we talk about the preservation and conservation, in that museum things, archives, documents, everything comes. Where it needs to be maintained, it cannot, where it has to be caretaken, that the documents kept for many years should not be torn from how the way they are kept. So how to preserve it, how to conserve it, though the ink should not get faded away, or the written document should be preserved, all the written work should be there on that. All this comes on the preservation and conservation. Not only on the written documents or the objects, but all the we also talk about the historical sites here, the monuments. The inscription which is done, which has to be maintained, see that the people when while visiting should not destroy that. So all this come under this topic, preservation and conservation of historical sites. Then third one is tourism and hospitality. See, many visitors when they come, or the tourists, they come to visit the historical sites. Most of them are historical sites or natural heritage, natural and cultural heritage. So all this comes under tourism, and when the tourists come, they're staying, they're eating, everything comes under hospitality. So we have to take a great care of that, so the tourists should be very happy, and next time when they come, they should feel like coming every now and then, or they publicity should be done about the place from mouth to mouth. So a very great care has to be taken about the tourism and hospitality. Next comes the entertainment and mass media. Of course, if the tourists come, they will not only visit the areas, the entertainment and mass media is also related to the historical part. So in that comes, children, the newspapers, the movies or the TV serials which we make, which is related somewhere to the past, mythological or historical things. So in that everything comes, right from the language or the things which they used to, the clothes, the dressing they used to do, or the objects, vessels they used to use that time, everything comes in that. Then every field mentioned here requires expert personnel with specialized skills. Means when I was telling about the entertainment and mass media, see, when we talk about making any serial, suppose, so the era about which we are describing in that serial, we have to see the language, the dressing style, the food they ate, their way of talking, everything comes in that. So you need to be expertise in that, and some few examples for your reference have been given down, that the architects, engineers and many more are there. Continuing with the affiliated professional fields, the experts from many more fields is required. These experts needs to have adequate knowledge of the ancient sites, the historical background of the structural remains and the artifacts. Projects in the fields of applied history can create various opportunities for these professionals. So apart from the list what I read in the previous slide, many more are required for doing or taking care of any historical site. So when they are coming into this the professional fields, they have to have the expertise in their things. They have to have the deep knowledge about which historical site they are concerned with, or they are going to do the work with it. Overall review of the lesson we are going to see here, children. In this lesson we have learnt about the role of the applied history in public training programs for understanding the importance of history, for creating social awareness regarding the conservation and preservation of our cultural and natural heritage. See, we have seen in this lesson about the public training, how the people has to go different departments where they are working, which different trainings are required to conserve and preserve our cultural as well as our natural heritage, to enhance the professional skills of the people. Means how more expert they can become in whatever field they are working related to the history, to develop industrial and commercial fields. See how today's industries and commercial fields can be developed, keeping into the consideration the past where the people have put into practice already the trade, technology and science, to carry out the preparatory work and plan out effective implementation of heritage projects, etc. How we can plan out in advance to preserve the heritage part, means the heritage projects of cultural as well as natural, which are the at present we are handling with. And it is essential to avoid vandalizing of historic and public places and to ensure that they are preserved for the benefit of the future generation. See, it's a human nature, we can say, or people are put into habit, like when they go to visit any historical monument, children mostly are habitual of doing this. They scribble, they try to break the thing, they try to damage the thing. So this has to be stopped somewhere. Another part has to be cleanliness, has to be seen around any historical monument where you go to see as a visitor or as a tourist. And that's how these things we can preserve for the future generation. It is interesting to know public history. People have lot of misgivings about the practicality of the knowledge of history. Example, history is usually thought as a field of interest only for the historians and students wishing to pursue higher studies in the subject and not pertaining to practical life. History as a field of knowledge does not have any applicability to economically productive fields, etc. Public history helps to overcome such misgivings and make history meaningful in everyday life, connecting people to history. There are many universities abroad where various courses in public history are offered. Srishti Institute of Art, Design and Technology is an institute at Bangalore, Karnataka. This institute has an independent department named Center for Public History. This department has taken up various projects and research in the field of public history. What are the misgivings about the practical knowledge of the history is that only historians should learn history, it has been said. No children, the people, common people, it's everyone's right to know about the public history. Like if we have been asked today to do the comparison of today's problem with the past. So Mahatma Gandhi ji, who has come to India during the era of 1960s to 70s, he has given a very good message to everyone about the mass movement, about the integrated movement, how the people can come together, and once you come together, you can fight for anything. This was the common message given by Mahatma Gandhi 100 years back. If today we have any problem, that same solution can be applied to today's problem also. So what misgivings we have, only the historian should know. The one who is doing apart from the history, any other field job, they should not know the history. It is a wrong interpretation. We all have the rights, and it is our duty we should know history of each and everything. In fact, where we live, we have full rights to know the history of that particular place where we are living in. So this is just an example that there are many courses which have been offered for history in the Western universities also and in our universities also. So don't take it only engineering, doctorate or architecture as the professions where we can choose it. But to becoming a historian is also going to be helpful to yourself also and to the country also. Do you know the earliest museum 6th century BCE in the world was discovered during the excavation at the city of Ur in Mesopotamia. The excavation was conducted by Sir Leonard Woolley in 1922 to 1934. The museum was built by the Princess of Mesopotamia. Her name was Enel Galdi. She herself was a curator of the museum. A noteworthy feature of that museum is the clay tablets inscribed with the description of exhibited artifacts. So see children, we come to know the Museum of Ur in Mesopotamia was being caretaken by the Princess of the Mesopotamia, who was the Princess of Mesopotamia. She herself was taking care of this museum, Enel Galdi, and the museum was being discovered by Leonard Woolley. And the most important feature or noteworthy feature of this museum is the clay tablets. Here the clay tablets means a clay type pot like things were being made by the human beings, and on that inscription or description about the city of Mesopotamia has been done, which you can see in the next clipping. Images of the Museum of Ur city in Mesopotamia. First one, you can see the standard of people of living of Ur. Second one is the royal game of the Ur and the clay tablets which I was talking in the previous slide. These are the clay tablets on which the inscriptions have been done, which is found in the Museum of Mesopotamia in Ur city. Do you know the Indian Museum of Kolkata was founded by the Aesthetic Society in 1814 CE. Nathaniel Vallick, a Danish botanist, was the founder and the curator of the museum. The photographers of the museum seen here is dated to 1905. The museum has three main departments: arts, archaeology and anthropology. Anthropology is the study of human societies and culture and their development. Arts, everybody know, and archaeology is a study about the human history. Other affiliated departments are conservation, publication, photography, exhibition, presentation, model making, training, library, security. So many departments are there in the Kolkata Museum, and this was the first Indian museum. In the next image, you will be able to see the picture of that museum, which holds so many departments, where training is also done for the people if they want to get experts or to choose on the professional level. Image of the first Indian museum at Kolkata. Children, can you see this building, white part of the Kolkata museum? It is there in your textbook also. An inside picture of the skeletons of the animals, how they have been placed to show which animals were used at those times.
It is interesting to know archives preserves and store old documents, official records, old films, etc. The National Archives of India is in Delhi. Every state in India maintains its archives independently. As you can see, the children, the old archives which is there in Delhi of our nation, here the photographs of that same thing is been shown here. Archives with a distinct purpose. The main office of the National Film Archives of India is located in Pune, Maharashtra. It was established in the year 1964 as media unit of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting of the Indian government. It serves for three objectives. First one, to search and obtain rare Indian films and to preserve the heritage for the benefit of the future generation. To categorize the important aspect of films, to create documentations and catalogs and carry out research in the field. To establish a center for dissemination of film culture. What does the archive stands for, children? I have already explained you. It is the storehouse of whatever the documents or old related anything which is in the written form if you preserve it. So here it is the archive with a distinct purpose, means here it is serving for the films where the reels are being stored, where the film is been recorded. And that one is in Pune. So National Film Archive of India is located in Pune and it was being established in the year 1964 under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It serves for three objects. What does it stands for? Like to search and obtain the Indian films, rare Indian films, means the films, many films have been made as in a documentary film which have the real values in the moral, children. All the films are not maintained for the purpose of entertainment. Some films are purely made to give the moral and some values or some lessons which are useful in our daily life, and those are called as documentary film, and they are like for 30 minutes or 1 hour, like that. So these are the rare film categories and which have been preserved here in the National Film Archive for the future generation, so that everybody should get a lesson. And to categorize the important aspects of the film means here the catalogs of the films have been made, like the one for the entertainment will be maintained in different parts. The another one which is a documentary which is of less time, not exactly for the 3 hours, they will be maintained in the different categories. The another one which is there are many films which are related to the education purpose. So like this different catalogs have been made. To establish a center of dissemination of film culture means films as the day it was been started. The first one to which was been started in India was started by Dada Saheb Phalke. He established the film industry, that is exactly before the 1947 when India was about to get independence during the time of the Britishers, and he was the first one like to shoot the films that time, and because of his shooting or recording that time we are able to get the records of the speeches of great leaders and many speeches lively given by Gandhi ji or Lokmanya Tilak today's date because of Mr. Dada Saheb Phalke. So he was the first one who started making the films, and that's how the National Film Archive first was located in Pune, Maharashtra. Here are the images of the film archive in Pune. The two images are there. The first one you can see the National Film Archive of Indian Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and second one is also of the same institute which is located in Pune. So here are the images of Film Archive of Pune. Thank you.